Heck, the planet 7 of 8. We're alive. Well, 7 of 8 in yeah. it'll just turn into 12 or 13 for next month anyway, but who knows? We keep you on the edge of your seats, maybe. The 10 people that watch. Um, so cool. Does anybody have? Let's go over your XP triggers for today. Make sure that people are aware of what they want to go to, and then let's also do wishes. Darren, do you have a wish for this session?
Um, I was, as you were introing and talking about who they rescued, I was like feverishly trying to put together the pieces. And then I remember that I wasn't here last week. So my wish is that I can just slip into the plot like nothing happened.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I forgot about that. Yeah, we had Asher in instead from another crew, so that was kind of fun. But the whole session, I believe, was dedicated towards extricating this person who you at least knew about before, right? Like the split peas, Jasmine had come to the garden, was like, "Yo, we need this. These people taken out," and gave you like a location on the Green Mile for this person, and then they decided to do a social plan, and it devolved a little bit into cross fucking some people up real good. I think even with a crit. I'm not even sure. Something like that happened though. The people got fucked up. And then outside, the Steve and Yeji, uh, the Steve set up the coil who were in the area to come by. And Yeji expertly basically set up this thing in AR that told people walking around in the Green Mile that there was like it was like a no-go zone, like the Green Mile had ended. So Yeji had like cordoned off this area, and then the Steve baited the coil to come, and they trounced them basically. And Yeji was like, I think told one of the kids that they killed their mom or something. It was pretty intimidating. I recall there was something about a mom and death or something happening.
I mean,
And
it
what?
was the most human way to handle the coil conflict, right?
Yeah,
Nobody's getting hurt this way.
yeah,
Just putting that out there.
yeah, but cross fucked people up anyway, though. So. But it doesn't really matter because you guys have that special ability anyway. But yeah, the last thing that happened was the social thing kind of devolved. Sato went to like leave and sent these bodyguards on them. Cross like fucked them up real good, and then got to the guy and pushed him into like a vehicle kind of thing, and everybody left without the Green Miles security forces knowing anything. And then that's where we cut. So I believe we still got to do heat and all that kind of stuff still, but yeah. So really, it's fine. You didn't miss anything. They just got the person.
Easy.
Yeah, easy peasy. Matthias, do you have a wish for the session?
Nothing really super important, I think. I think just a reminder, we did level up the cleaners, crew last time, and we took secure and quality for specialized tech. But that also means we all should have gotten stash. And it's 3 stash by now. Tier +2, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yep, tier +2.
Awesome. That means I'm back up to 5 since I spent some last time.
Back up to that stash. Ah, yes. And Mike, do you have a wish? Any wishes for Yeji?
I don't know, not particularly. I think because I think I'm aiming to get since we are at session 7 of 8, to get my big clock done. But I do want what we actually do with that to kind of be in the hands of the other people. I mean, I think like the basic like concept of like, let's create this act of God and then let's stop it. Like, I think that's like a Yeji thing, and like she's planning the heist, but like I think like who to target and why and all of that kind of thing is something that I want the other characters to decide based on where they're coming from, if that makes sense. Like if there's, well, I think that's what we're kind of setting up with Gabraish, and a little bit with Cross as well, is sort of like who would you want to go after kind of thing. So yeah, like that's really all of it. I just kind of want to set that up, and whether we actually do it or not, and at this point, like whatever. Okay.
Yeah, Yeji's plan is to use an act of God to kind of take out a larger thing, like a corporation or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and especially if you're not in the next one's stuff, then yeah, we can use this penultimate session in the next one to try to do something like that. I'm totally down for the mini finale to be like, try to fuck up Nourish real good or something like that with an act of God. Whatever big bang you want to shoot for, we should definitely aim towards that. And Yoshi?
Yeah, I definitely want to do that. Like from a story narrative perspective, I would love to have like the act of God at the beginning of next session, because I would love to have some time after the act of God to like finish up whatever happens with Yeji and so on. So this session, I would love to like get through like setting up, like trying to figure out how we hit Nourish and getting everything set up type thing, so that we can have that structure.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so let's do the stuff before downtime really quick. Payoff. Cool. Okay, so crew earns 2 rep per score by default. Higher tier, yes, +1, so that's 3. If you keep the operation completely quiet, some people died. So I think initially the operation was quiet, but afterwards, perhaps not. But you don't get any extra heat because of the death anyway from later on because of your special move. So I think it would be 3 rep. And jewels, let's say minor job, small job, standard job. I think it would be at least standard. I don't know if it would be. I don't think it would be a big score. But it doesn't seem like a small job either to me. It seemed like pretty tough, right? Like trying to go to a faction that they essentially invited you, but they wouldn't have been able to protect you from their own security if you had started shit, right? So yeah, we'll say 6 jewels for that, a standard score. And
it's 1 for everybody, 2 for the crew. So
yeah,
good.
Sure. And heat. Let's see. So what happened? You baited the coil. The guards definitely didn't hear anything about that. There were some dead bodies, but you don't take heat from that. So probably 2 contained. Does that feel good to everybody? Yeah. Cool. +1 heat for a high profile or well-connected target. For reasons I'm not going to... They're basically... Their whole thing is that they don't exist, so probably not. If it happened on hostile turf, it didn't. And you're not at war, and killing doesn't matter to you guys. Well, mechanically. Cool. And interesting. So how much heat do you have?
2.
2 heat?
And 1 wanted level.
1 wanted level, cool. Do you want to roll? That up.
Sure. I've got
guys
it
like-
here.
You guys like staying in that little mini zone.
1.
What? Cool. So it's gang trouble or the usual suspects. Ooh, what is your gang's flaws? Do you guys have that stuff?
We don't have a cohort, so it's just
Oh, okay.
us.
Gotcha. Or I like that. Usual suspects. The Sentinels grab someone in the peripheral of your crew. One player volunteers a friend or vice purveyor as the person most likely to be taken. Make a fortune roll to find out if they resist questioning. I like this a lot because we have a bunch of clocks going on about like split fees find out and -1 status with the split P's. So that's pretty interesting to me. Oh, the coil. I guess I can delete that. Before it was like, they're coming. And then the Steve was like, yes, they are coming. So what do people think? Who do people think is the usual suspect on the peripheral of the crew?
I have a friend. My friend is a career criminal, so it's kind
Oh,
of an easy one.
yeah,
Ebba.
that does make sense.
Poor Ebba. I hardly knew her.
Hardly knew her. Yeah. So is it a she's?
Yeah, Ebba to me is a feminine name, so I just went with that.
Yeah. So I think that would be good. So yeah, I wouldn't say you're like on the outs or anything, but we haven't seen them in the fiction, right? So that probably means that like they're like getting beat up and they literally don't know anything, but the Sentinels don't believe them. So we see like a white room that looks like it's padded, but when you touch it, it's just like bathroom tile, but it looks like it's plushy, but it's not. And like white light around the rim of the room, otherwise dark, with like bolted chairs that are also white, very like minimalistic white furniture thing, except that it's a lot sturdy because it's an interrogation room. And I think like the white up top gets even more brighter and hotter, and we see your friend like sweating there, right, as they turn up the heat. Literally. And then we just get like some montage moments of them like roughing her up and being like, we know that you're connected to Gabrish, right? And they probably have some of the same like clothes and tattoos and stuff as the haunts and stuff like that, right? If you guys are friends, like maybe a peripheral connection to that. And then what we do is you roll to see how much what happens if you roll to make a fortune roll to find if they resist questioning. 1 to 3 +2 heat, 4 to 5 level 2 harm, or pay the Sentinels off with 1 jewel. So what do we want to do? Well, let's roll first, right? So lowest die result of report. I like that. So if it's a 2 or
Wait,
3, it's
should it
plus 2
be-
heat, or you can pay them off so that it doesn't happen, I guess. How much heat do y'all have? Not too much, right? It's just a little bit of heat. You could
just a
probably take
little
it.
bit of heat.
Yeah, you could probably take it. It's fine.
I got big plans for my 1 joule that I have.
We could spend 1 joule from the crew sheet.
To not get the 2 heat.
Not
It's
get
just
the
2
2
heat, though. It's easy.
Yeah, I feel like usually 1 joule for 2 heat is a good trade-off.
Yeah, that's true. So what do you guys want to do?
Yeah, I'm okay with a crew joule. Doing that.
All right,
Cool
we're doing
us
it.
down.
It's down to 1.
Cool. So what do you think the scene looks like then, right? They're just about to basically lay into poor Heba, right? But for whatever reason it doesn't happen. So does
Is this like the classic police drama thing? They're in the room and then somebody knocks on the door and says, "Your lawyer's here," and like pulls them out types thing where it's just like you can't do this anymore. They're out on bail or whatever.
Mhm.
yeah. You like paid the bail too quickly.
I like
It
that.
was just when the fist was like about to like lay into them too, right? It's just
And
like,
and to
ugh.
show that the Sentinels are not great people, the cop still hits them once, but like then everything like stops.
Yeah. And then they like lean in and to their ear and they're like, "You're lucky." Do you feel lucky, punk? Cool. So yeah, Eva doesn't get roughed up, and I'm sure appreciates the peripheral support. Otherwise, it would have been some heat, which means they would have actually like talked, which I guess makes sense because we haven't even seen them in the fiction, right? So they're just like, I don't even. Yeah, all I know about them is this. Okay.
She's like, the garden's really good.
We like.
It's so great.
Yeah. It would be like Cabrace does some illegal tattooing sometimes. Maybe you can get him for that. I don't know.
Don't sell me out for my tattooing.
Yeah. Hey, they're Cabrace's friends, so like if they know anything, no wonder you paid them off. Coward. Cool. Okay, so then we officially enter downtime. Who wants to begin? Should we just go in order? Darren, do you want to downtime it up?
Sure. Well, I definitely want to. I think maybe, I guess depending on how the rules go, I want to work towards hacking Nourish for both of mine. Get some more good positioning to mess them up later.
Cool.
I'm halfway through. But what am I doing? Can't remember what I did last time. Maybe I want to like.
Last time I think you were running a program, right? And we saw like the progress bar going or whatever. Something like that. That's what I recall.
That sounds right. I'm wondering if this time I want to sneak into an office and plant something to like keep going. But I just want to roll finesse, I think, instead of constantly hacking them or ghost or whatever it is. I can't remember.
So they're that's kind of clever too in the fiction, right? Because they're probably like repelling all of these DDoS attacks and all this kind of stuff. And so they're probably not expecting you to go into like a physical place and get some records or something like that, right?
Yeah, maybe I put a back door in.
Yeah.
Physical and virtual.
You rootkitted their back door.
I plugged my cyber deck in.
Yeah. They have been cybered. Cool.
I'm gonna roll, ghost or prowl or whatever to be sneaky.
Sounds good.
No bonus die. Okay. All right. Okay.
Get those 2 ticks.
2 ticks. Cool.
So how
Yeah,
close are you now?
I'm 2 away. Hopefully, I'll be able to get it with 1 more. I say that, knock on wood.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve, do you have a downtime?
Yeah, I do. So I think what we see is like this kind of very small, looks like a little shop front, but very narrow, and it's all lit in this low neon purplish light behind it, and we go in, and there's like a reception desk, and it's way too narrow, kind of, when we move past it. Yeah, exactly. And there are like these little cabins, and they're open cabins, and we see inside there's like people lying on stretchers, and most of them very still. Like maybe there's one that is like kind of strangely shaking, but in like a monotone way, like not stopping and not violent, but just. And then we come upon one of those kind of pods and we see, we recognize the Steve, and what we see basically is they've got something attached to their cybernetic implant, and they're like, his eyes are rolled back, and yeah, so this is the first time we get to see his vice, and he's indulging his vice.
Gotta be something to do with his implant, right? It's like his penis in this. It's just like, how can I plug something into my head?
Well, this is basically like what he's going through is kind of like a voluntary coma.
Ooh.
He's actually really not experiencing anything in there.
So it's like, is it? So it's not even like a dream state or anything. He just wants to be like nothing for a while or something.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. This is like it's kind of like depression level. I don't want to feel anything at all, and I don't feel anything at all, and so I'm gonna just go lay down. But it's not like go lay down for like 3 hours in the middle of the day. It's go lay down for the next 15 days kind of thing.
Oh, put himself on pause for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So is that, what did you label that as?
Stupor.
Cool.
Guess that made the most sense to me. I think it's a kind of quietness being nothingness. So let's see how that goes.
So pretty well. A crit.
That's a crit. Didn't we say a crit is 8 in this game?
Yeah.
Like
Wait,
that?
the same as when you can choose between 4 and 5, you can choose between the 7 and 8, I think. Because if it's a crit, then you don't need to. I don't want the crit to be like, and you overindulge, right?
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
that'd be fun too, though.
Well, it's up to you, but I don't want the crit to be like, well.
I mean, I have exactly 8 stress. This is the best roll
Sweet.
you could have imagined. Yeah.
Yep. So I guess those 15 days of nothingness was all the Steve wanted and
All
needed.
needed, yes.
Yeah.
Now I can be completely back on my bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Okay.
Wow.
Yeji?
I think at the end of those 15 days, the Steve wakes up and Yeji is like over over his head, just kind of like leaning down and probably
Like you found me?
Yeah, taps the cybernetic. And what I want to do here, as if you couldn't tell, is work on my long-term project. And I think I want to like take at least the Steve with me on this. Because I think like we had some tension, and Yeji might want to try and smooth that over a little bit. And also, I don't know where we're at in the plot to unlock the acts of God, so I'm not sure where we're headed. I think we had established this group, the Owaza. Was Stray Light and Glimmer, was that part of the last job, or was that our contact for this?
Stray Light. I'm getting some echo.
Oh, sorry.
Stray Light introduced you to the Owaza and then was like, peace. Right? Because they're like, I know a guy. Essentially. And then they introduced you to the Owaza, and it was either, I think it was Cade or something like that. Or did I give you a name yet, even? Maybe I didn't give you a name.
The name. I think the last thing we did was met with Glimmer from Stray Light.
Cool.
Or was Glimmer from Owaza? She was from Stray Light, right?
Glimmer is Stray Light.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So, and then, yeah, from what I recall, it was where it left off was you got in well enough with them that they set up a meeting with the other person, and then you had met them, and now you're like, you can contact them and have dealings with them and stuff like that, right? That's what I recall. So if you didn't get it,
I think that sounds about right.
Okay, and if you didn't get a name, let's get a name. We'll grab one from the quick start. Let's do... The first thing that I saw was Bodhi, and then I looked at last name and it's Bit. Good old Bodhi Bit. No, we won't do that. Riker, Violet. Let's do Violet. I like that. So your contact's Violet, and you can reach them to continue your project. And it would probably be outside of that. That club would be a setup for a meet.
Okay, sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I do
one of those oxygen bars. What, Matthias?
Yeah, I do love the scene though, where that it turns out that it was basically Yeji, that is the POV camera that we were following into this place. And as soon as you like lean over the Steve, the camera turns and shows us you, right? And maybe you tap the and that's as and almost then at the same time, like the basically the clock runs out for how much it was booked, right? And the Steve's eyes like shoot open and look directly at you without like moving his head. Yeji,
how was your nap?
it's like this wide smile, and he's like, and there's like a we hear like some kind of pressure valve loosening, like right, and he stretches his shoulders and bounces off the stretcher basically. Where we're going?
And so I have a lead on something, and I think I need a little backup for this. And you're among the best backup people I know. Just keep it calm, keep it cool.
Gotcha, man.
So yeah, I guess like we start walking, heading over to the hunt, and as we do, like maybe I kind of lean in and I'm like, hey, so about that loot that I skipped out on.
Huh, done over. That's been ages ago.
Has 15 days. 16, 17 days maybe.
Was it that long? I needed that though.
I think we can get a big score. Gabrash and Cross really want to take out Nourish, and I think that their reasons are good and sound. But I think you and I probably have an eye on the prize here. So we just need to make sure that whatever we do, we can get some loot.
Well, tell me what you need to see for. What do you have in mind?
I think that I want to create an act of God in Shelter 1. We were out on that road and Cross did that thing with those harpoons and the trucks and all of that. Like, it got me thinking. I mean, I was thinking about it beforehand too, I guess. But if we could create an act of God, we could really do some damage.
Yeah, we could. This is maybe a good point that I leveled up last time and I took systemic relocation just as a special ability. It's about wrecking stuff. Yeah, I think this is a nice place to cut to directly where you want to go, and I'm with you.
Yeah. So you going to the, like, we can just say that you're headed to like a meet with them or something like that, right?
Makes sense.
Cool. How much longer in your clock do you have again? What?
4.
4? Cool. And the end goal is to be able to make the act of God, right? The mechanic, right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, let's roll to see how far you get first, and then we'll do it in the scene. Because if somebody crits again,
Gonna be consort, right?
yeah, if it's a meet, that is a good one to do. Otherwise, let's see. Yeah. Well, is there something that it's your downtime, so it's pretty much whatever you want to do, and then I'll make the scene fit it. So it depends what you want to roll.
Well, let's do consort for this one. I'm going to do both actions as being this. So I think like I'll do consort on this one and then try and work towards survey for the next one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have something in mind, so that's cool. Cool. So are you? And you brought a friend, so make sure you roll an extra die. If you consider the Steve a friend, that is. Cool. So you just had one die in consort? Yeah, okay, cool. So that's another 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for this one you meet Violet. They set a and I put a picture there too. So yeah, they have like blue hair and like this black clinging kind of plastic that swaths across their face with like interesting eye makeup that goes black lines that go down their eyes with yellow on the sides, and then blue eyes that match the hair color. And they're wearing just like casual urban wear. It's nothing like fancy or anything. It would be like if you were in the bustling areas of the green zone. She's wearing like what 90% of the like denizens are wearing, right? Like she wouldn't stick out. And even her makeup and hair and stuff like that is not something that would stick out too much. I think it's not too much of a statement compared to what everybody else is looking like in this sort of futuristic green zone area here. And I think though where she takes you up to up the one of the walls to a garden, and below it is like, where they have the fallow soil and stuff like that. So whenever it's not in use, they just have like a park basically over it that people can use. And it's high up enough that you can see a bunch of buildings, right? And I think what happens is you guys start walking up to her, and she is like looking at her skin. And as you get closer, you can see what she's looking at is like a subdermal clock that is like ticking down to something, just sort of like a fancy timepiece that you would get now, but below the skin. So it doesn't have like it just has like the hour hands, glowing beneath the skin. And it's counting down, and she like raises a finger to you as if to wait for it to click. And as soon as it does, you look out across the way, and she points at a building, and like a lightning strike hits it. And it's not like a huge thing that destroys the building or anything, but it's sort of like the proof of concept thing that she's showing you, right? Like, we can do these things. Yeah. So what do you say? What do you do?
What do we need to do to make that happen?
We send up, we use like a high pressured gun that was used for the military to shoot up like concentrated particulates, essentially, to metastasize up there what we need, depending on the kind of act of God that you're looking for, of course. The bigger, the more expensive, right? And
We're going to need something big.
How big?
Pretty big.
Pretty big. Okay. Like, mechanically on the clock, though, it's like that the clock was specifically about getting an act of God that would be able to hurt Nourish, right? Or yeah. Cool. So I think she smiles and says that you've been paying your dues. If you select the right target, some are cheaper than others. If other people can get in on what you're planning, all the cheaper then. After all, acts of God happen all the time. Why wouldn't people be able to profit? And she tells you to what many people do to fund their own operations in this manner is go to the hunt and bet on their own act of God occurring when it's supposed to happen and make money off that. And then we have been known to take a large cut, since most people cannot afford to pay us up front for these things.
I think you fucked me over once or twice on some bets that I've made.
Yes. I think she just smiles. And then if you want to stay in the scene, then do you want to try to complete the clock then? Before we move on, is that okay with you, Roshi? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, do we have a way that we can convert this into like a survey or something more along Yeji's particular set of skills?
Mm-hmm. Well, it could be literally scouting the target to see what you want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then it makes sense again for having the Steve with you when you're doing this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it could actually be an entirely different scene, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because
thinking.
if we're like supposing or that we now have this information how to hit them or where to hit them, now we have a location to basically research up on and specialize how this might be used there.
Yeah, I imagine that like if this fills the clock, it would be like you have the date and time and location and stuff, and you know like when it's going to happen. We don't see it on screen because it happens when you want it to happen, basically. But yeah, so just going to in a separate scene to skip to um, scouting the location and gathering information that way makes a lot of sense to me. And then the screen cut would be her just smiling when you're like, I think you fucked me over a couple times, right?
So yeah, I guess we head over to Nourish then and scope it out. Maybe we get our the rest of the crew to kind of scout it out too.
Sure.
Not that I'm not going for 3 extra dice here, but it just makes sense.
Yeah, I think you only get one anyway. But yeah, as we see kind of everybody, maybe just in the background, we're doing stuff.
Yeah. And I posted a picture. I finally found one that makes sense for Nourish. And yeah, it's just like a massive skyscraper that still looks very like not retro futuristic, but like it would be modern architecture, but at the top, I like that symbol is there, which kind of looks like the hive, right? Like a beehive-ish type thing with like a bunch of different cones that look down, and it's like always glowing there. And yeah, so I like that building for the Nourish headquarters. I think it would probably be like a little bit fatter of a building than that, probably, but yeah, because essentially in the center of Shelter One are these 3 pillars of Shelter One. Is well, they're referred to as the pillars of the like community, the district, the city, everything like that. And so these 3 corporate buildings with safety, nourish, and information would be like the bigger monolithic type buildings. So just keep that in mind. But I really like the picture just for that corporate logo thing on it, basically.
The camera image of like the classic Batman shot. So like we're on like the roof of like one of the buildings like next to it, and like Gabrish has like some kind of like tablet or whatever out and is kind of like showing the map as like we kind of like stare in the distance and are kind of like pointing things out and kind of like scheming what possible approaches there could be and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so you can roll with 1 extra die. And we see you all planning the big one, right? Nice. There you go. More than full. Super full. So yeah, you have the means to hit them whenever you like with whatever thing that you want. And what I mentioned with the hunt situation is because I think it would be similar to like acquiring an asset, and you'd need to put up a bunch of capital to increase the tier to be able to hit the building to have like an effect, right? So I think, yeah, it makes sense, I think, in this setting for these underground people to be betting on when active gods occur, how hard, like how bad they are, all that kind of stuff, right? Especially in a gambling den, it seems like totally a thing that they would do. So all you really have to do is, you know, play the odds, because I didn't want it to be something that would potentially not be able to happen, because you would need to get it to essentially like a tier 5, right? And acquiring an asset, even if you rolled a 6, is +1, so you would need to spend some pretty big moolah to get it up there. But we can cross that when it happens.
Cool.
Yoshi, downtown.
So I do want to do some healing. So I want to do that. But I also like the idea of setting up stuff for hitting Nourish, just like in terms of like setting up scenes, whether that's either talking with somebody from the split peas of like trying to get somebody out, like to get the people out, like because conceivably we have the information of like where to hit them and so on from Soto. So like maybe like trying to plan that out, or maybe also like doing things with like all of the forge that are coming into like that I've been working with, like to like help them like settle in shelter 1. Like, hey, there's going to be this huge thing that we're planning. Like, this is the opportunity to like basically have like those riots in the street and everybody grabs shit type thing, like distraction.
Yeah.
So I got lots of ideas. I just don't know which one to do.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of, well, it might not make sense for pacing, but I think like, because you guys were like, damn, how are we going to take on, you know, Nourish's little compound for extracting these people? So yeah, I think a setup for that would be good, but also I like the idea of a score that kind of like turns maybe you're doing it at the same time or something, like when the huge lightning bolt or act of god, like whatever it is that you want hits it, that's the time that you hit the compound as well, right? Because they're like
Yeah.
gonna be busy. But I don't know if that's okay with you, Mike, because if that's the case, then we'd be doing it might make weird pacing, right? Because we wouldn't be doing it in the last session. It'd be more like
This session.
yeah, this session. So I don't know what you're thinking there.
Whatever. And I do come back at the end of the next series, so
Okay.
it's not a big thing. I just wanted to make sure I got to it. That's all.
Oh, okay.
We could also do some doubling up and say this is so big that we do 2 things about it with no downtime in between, even.
Yeah.
For next session, like that's also. It is a fairly big thing, depending what we want to do here or what like potential outcomes are. I assume like we can't bring down Nourish in 1 stroke, but
I mean, we might be
maybe-
able to drop them a tier or something like that.
yeah, make them like drop a tier and make basically the vultures go after them, thinking they're weak now, and then further profit on that.
Yeah, because Carrion is essentially like.
Oh yeah, there's also a faction.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, there's Carrion is literally called that because that's what they do, and they want a seat at the corporate council and aren't allowed on it. And part of that is because Nourish is like, you're not, you know, a megacorp really. You just worked your way up from like the nethers basically, and their whole thing is trying to get like more power and to get on that corporate council. So yeah, if there's like a weakness, they're going to be the first ones that are like, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. Yeah.
So I'm good with like trying to set that up. So I think. So how how does Cross actually set up the score? Because it sounds like Yeji has like sort of like the act of God part of it set up, and if we're doing like the parallel like score at the same time, I guess it would be like talking to somebody from the Split Peas,
Sure.
like to try to actually get those people out, or to talk to Soto. Like, I guess my first question is, do we need to, or do we want to have a scene with like Soto of like trying to get that information, or is that sort of should we jump past that to like, okay, we have the information, and this is what we want to see?
Yeah, I'd be good with either as well. I think it would just be a question of what people find most interesting there. I think you did enough setup in the past that he would probably tell you things, but we could also make it a scene where you're like trying to extract more information than what he would have given up or something, if that's what you find interesting and fun.
I think I'd rather just have a montage of like not with Soto, or have something where we see Cross just doing like some scouting and things like that, trying to figure out the best way to extract people, and like how to do that most efficiently, like in terms of like where the people are. So if we know all those things, it's like, and maybe it's reference to, like if it's on screen, we see reference to the Soto conversations of like, oh, he said this is where they're going to be, and like looking at all those details type thing.
Sure. Okay. So let's see. Do you think you'd be talking to Jasmine or to what was the other one?
What? Probably
It's
Jasmine.
Theo or Jasmine, yeah. Cool. Okay. So is it another scene in the garden, or where do you meet her, or what?
Yeah, I think it could be. Actually, I think maybe it's another scene. Um, yeah, another scene in the garden's fine. I can't think of another good place to be.
Sure. So just like back in the gazebo with some tea going on.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like you can see that Cross is a little bit like hurt, like, but like there's like bandages and things because she got beat up and has some harm from the last one. So like it's just there as part of like trying to fix things up. But she's talking with Jasmine, and maybe she like Cross winces a bit at like something like as she sits down, but she's like, all right, we've got this information from Soto. Like we're gonna go scout these things out. We're setting up a distraction so that will keep them occupied. After we get them out, we can get them out of shelter one. We can get them to you. I know you eventually want them somewhere else. What's your end goal?
The ideal situation for us is to have them back in our organization, but depending on what happens with Nourish and how well the job goes, we might have to extricate them to a different hidden location outside of the city or something like that. The important thing is that they are free, though. Whether or not they can join us to do work is another matter.
Well, hopefully our distraction's going to be big enough that they will just think that these people maybe have perished in the accident. They get lost, just missing, not know what's going on, and that they won't necessarily be looking too hard for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what do you want out of this scene, Yoshi?
I have no idea.
Okay. Do you want to roll to gather information and ask me pointed questions?
Sure.
And I'll relay them to you either if Jasmine knows it, then I'll relay it that way. Otherwise, I'll just do like flashbacks to Soto giving you the information or something like that, right?
Sure. Yeah. So I think that's probably consort because I'm talking with people, either Jasmine or Soto.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Sure. Let's see how that goes. Not well.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's not the best. Okay. It's limited information, though, so why don't you...
Also, isn't there or did you already take a bonus die?
I did not take a bonus
You
die.
didn't,
We're talking
yeah.
with friends, right?
Yes.
So I'll roll another d6. It doesn't help.
It's funny. Double ones all the way, so crit. It's good to get it out of your system, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I rolled really well last time. I'm
it's true.
due.
Yeah. Okay, so what question do you most want answered from her? And then for the Soto questions, I think what I'll do is just have after this we'll go on break. When we come back, I'll have each of you just pose a gather information question to Soto, and I'll answer it that way, I think.
Cool. The question I want from her, what do I want to know about her? Or about these people that we're rescuing?
It might color your question a little bit to know that where they're actually being held is at on a mountain in a solar weather farm that Darren is familiar with. It's what should we call it? Let me just see. They're being held at something called Project Upwind.
Cool. And that's not in Shelter 1 then?
No, it is outside of Shelter 1, and that's why, like, she was saying that Soto was like, now's the like time, right, to like hit them. This is when you might be able to get them.
Okay.
And so what you'll know about it is it's at the top of a mountain. There's a giant like wind stack, basically, like piercing the clouds in these like let's say that you're looking at like Blade Runner pictures, right, where they're moving on the actual picture, but they look analog pictures still. And it looks like just like aerial shots and stuff like that. And basically there's like a huge stack raising into the sky, and below it is like a white sheath over a forest that's covering it all. And it just says like, redacted Project Upwind and stuff like that. And she knows that Soto has told you that that's where they're being held. So do you have a question for Jasmine about any of that? Does that help?
I mean, it's useful. I think the thing is, what I would care about if I want to get rid of, if I want to take down Nourish, it's more along the lines of how important is Project Upwind? Like, does that need to stay something that is still running? Like, what happens if we totally like just destroy Project Upwind?
Okay. So right now it's actually not functioning at all.
Okay.
It's in disrepair. Yeah, so it's not in operation now, and basically what Soto has said is that they have like, there are people there who are living like a walkaway life, and they've infiltrated that camp and placed Nourish employees within it. And they're keeping some of the they basically are holding those Nourish employees in Project Upwind under the guise of them trying to like get it restarted again and stuff like that. It doesn't really say. Jasmine isn't aware and Soto isn't aware of what the project actually does, but it seems likely that Nourish has found this place and wanting to, and
Okay,
for
so
whatever reason, just want to get it working again.
right. So it's not so much that this is a thing that Nourish controls. This is a thing that Nourish is interested in.
Yes.
And they're
And
sending
wants. Yeah.
right. It's interested in and wants, and that's why those people are there. They're trying to acquire it.
Yeah, they're basically forcing these people to try to understand it and get it working again.
Right. So it's not so much about destroying it, but maybe making sure that Nourish can't acquire it for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. What did you ask Jasmine a question though?
I think the information I would want to know is how would we stop, like, I guess, why does Nourish want this? It would be the most useful thing, because if we can figure out why Nourish wants Project Upwind, at least moving forward, we can try to make it too costly for them.
Right. I think, let's see. Why? Oh, I know. So she would know that too, because so she you only get limited information because you get a 1, but their professions is like a tip off. They're not ordinary gene hack scientists like the people that Jasmine and Theo managed to get out. They are like engineers and experts in renewable energy instead. So the fact that those people are there kind of and are being forced to work points to the project having to do with something like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So do people want to take 5 and we'll come back and then I'll get everybody to pose a gather information question to Soto about it and then we'll move back into downtime actions.
And I believe we all like there gather information questions, individual ones for every playbook, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're on your sheet.
Yeah. So we'll take 5, come back at 25 and then we'll do that. The mysterious Project Upwind.
We can't do anything to Project Upwind. We're just gonna, next week, we're gonna show up and Project Upwind's gonna be exploded.
Wait until my question. Yeah.
Oh god.
Also, look what came today. Yay.
Oh, sweet.
Ooh.
That took a while then, right?
Oh, no, I ordered it through because I save on shipping if I order it through, what would you call it, my local friendly online gaming store?
Oh,
Yeah.
because they carry IPR stuff, you mean?
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Cool. Yeah, that's what I do in Canada too. I wait for a lot of things.
Yeah.
To the local
They
place
also
because
back all the Kickstarters or most of them, so,
cool.
so I often actually don't back there because
Yeah,
it's gonna
might as well
me.
save.
Yeah.
Although with our Kickstarters, it's only $5 shipping. But after the Kickstarter, then it's normal. So then definitely wait. That's the only time we whatchamacallit, subsidize it. Cool. So let's see, so let's continue. Do people want to do the rest of downtime? Then we'll pose the questions to Soto, then go from there.
Yeah, we can. Then we don't switch topics too many times.
Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to Darren then. Because Yoshi, that was your downtime action, right? One of them? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I want to hopefully fill this clock. But I think what this one is like before we all met up with Yeji to go scout out the building. I think maybe it's like right before that or something, if it works in the timeline. I think Abrash meets up with Cross somewhere, and then I want to like plan things out with you and like basically present everything that I've been doing and been like, okay, I know we're all ramping up to get into Nourish and take them down, and I've been working on this for a while. And I think like the last puzzle piece, hopefully, is I want to, especially why I'm coming to you, Cross, is that I want to like, there's some Nourish employee maybe that I found through all this hacking that I want to like, or executive or someone, and I want to like basically intimidate them into giving us like good access or like very good information, you know, whatever supports us doing this score thing.
Yeah, I'll totally go with you.
Heck yeah. Let's go intimidate somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking commands, Fraser, and I definitely can use that +1.
Yeah. So you're just like finding a random employee and then intimidating them?
Well, I think maybe let's say like an executive so that has more weight than just like, you know, the random fast food employee. Or not stopping at the shelter one McDonald's being like, tell me.
Right.
The Nourish middle manager executive, like they're part of corporate opposed to like one of the subsidiaries.
Right, yeah. Someone who would know something.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we just like corner them.
Okay.
Corner
So
them somewhere.
let's see if you fill up the clock or not.
I hope so. Bonus die 1. 1. Oh man. 4. Yes. That's it. That's full.
Cool. And so what was the clock again? What is the mechanical?
Well, so before it was like just to set up give us something for a score to do, but maybe since that's what we're doing anyway, maybe
Well.
I guess I don't know. Do you think maybe this could result in like an asset, or do you think maybe this is just like good, this could maybe just be a good gather information opportunity. Like we get strong, good information. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
I mean, I kind of like the idea if we're hitting somebody from corporate, like we get like an ID card or a key code or something like that that lets us get in easier or lets us, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Into the Project Upwind or into the Nourish?
I was thinking like Nourish HQ,
Okay, cool. So like,
the honeycomb place.
is that still intimidating them though? Getting so you're like scaring them into giving them the
I mean,
credentials?
what I'm picturing is that we would have to like, I think we would have to, because I don't know what I would leverage to like sway them, because I don't have anything on them, or like, I don't think I have anything to like guilt them morally into helping us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's say that like, yeah, you've been following this one person, Ezekiel, for a while, and you know that they're like on the way out, maybe it's literally their last day or something like that, right? And so you sit down at like some sort of fusion restaurant, right? And I think maybe they're expecting a date, but they've arrived earlier or something, and before the date comes, you two sit down, right, in at the opposite ends of the table, and you're kind of like, well, it depends if you want to role play it or not, but I'm thinking like maybe you do the like
Maybe
like we know last day, you might as well just give us these like credentials. You'll be helping to take down the corporation that hasn't done you any good, and that kind of stuff, right?
maybe on the walk over, Gabrish and Cross are probably discussing how to approach it. And I'm like, do you want to be the good cop or the bad cop, Cross?
I mean, if I'm here, it's probably because I'm going to be the bad cop.
Well, I just didn't want to paint you into a role. I didn't want to pigeonhole you, Cross. I think you have a lot of talents, you know?
Well, thank you. But if something needs to happen, and I think I just like flick like a dagger, like twirl it through my blade, like hands, and I'm like, I can just be subtly intimidating if that's what needs to happen.
Nice.
Okay. I like that. We're sitting across the table. This guy's waiting for a date, and Cross is twirling a dagger in their face.
Nice. And
Very
so, yeah, basically, it's like when you go back to, I think losing credentials and stuff like that is like a big thing with the corporation, like something you'd get fired for, but it's his last day or whatever, right? So it's kind of like whatever. This way you can stick it to the man a little bit. Also, there's a knife in your face. And you know where he likes to eat and who you know, his date that's coming and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's like, yeah, eventually off in this little corner of a fusion restaurant, we see him like take out this like swiper card or whatever, right? Like some kind of, what do you think it is? Maybe it's like maybe it's all his like biometric data or something like that, right? I don't know. What would be cool? We'll just say that he gives you the thing, and we'll later on we'll deal with it.
It's a zip drive.
Yeah.
An explodable zip drive.
Yeah, we'll say it's something. You get the thing. So he just like sort of somewhat shakily pushes it over, and then he's like, "Will you go now? My date is almost here." Right?
I think we leave, and I'm like, yeah, just tell Syria Cross said hi.
Yeah, nice. Tell Siri we say hi. I didn't understand that. Cool. So that's that. Matthias, the Steve second downtime action.
And I have something for our return trip.
Like the floppy disk that you have to blow on. We'll pass on that, maybe. Sorry, what were you saying?
I have something for the return trip with Yeji. So I think on our way back, Steve, like, we suddenly like stop in front of a bar, and he's like, "That reminds me, I've got something to pick up. It'll only be a moment. Come." Like, wave Yeji to follow me into the bar. That's called, I think it's called the Meltdown. And as we enter it, it looks fairly nondescript on the inside, but I think all attention turns towards us as we enter, and there's a guy behind the bar who like stops what he's doing and pulls down his glasses somewhat and looks over and is like, what are you doing here? And maybe like Yeji, you maybe feel like, okay, there's tension immediately in the air, so you keep standing like at the entrance to have a look over everybody, and the Steve just nonchalantly sidles up to the bar and says, well, Pihu, and Pihu is my negative contact. I know you got my order, because I know how to get past your, well, you know. And Pihu's like, you've got some nerve showing up here. Like, well, I'm just here to pick up my order. And here's what I want to do, actually, mechanically, right? I think Pihu, who's a bartender, but he actually sells illicit software. And I want to spend my other downtime action on training, basically, but I'm rolling this all into one scene. Yeah, picking this up. So there's actually not even a role involved here, but I think it's kind of nice that there's tension in the room and everybody realizes it, and then people and the Steve starts pushing it, and then people kind of get a sense what's going on with Yeji being at the door, and being kind of like, oh, and I actually want to do 2 training actions, and I'm just gonna spend 1 rep, right? I'm using this, like, bringing Yeji here to basically people being like, what the hell? Why is, like, he's bringing that kind of assassin, showing them off, to get another downtime action through this. Because we do have.
What are you training?
Well, 1 inside, 1 prowess.
Cool.
Because that levels up both for me.
Yes, no, who's that old lady? She doesn't look like an assassin.
Yeah, that's something we could talk about, what it actually is that Yeji does. Maybe that's for Mike to decide. That like the Steve is kind of forcing a display or like a show of power here or something like that, right? A show of strength, so that things don't escalate at this place, and I can just pick up what I ordered and paid for. Yeah, and it's the software for our little training room stuff, of course, right? You want to expand on what the AG actually does to impress the entire room?
I mean, I don't think it's a lot. Like, she probably just like has like jacket on and like just kind of like opens that up and you see like her like, yeah, like her blades, and she just is kind of like I don't know, like what's the right word? It's not so much like nervously, but she's just like hitting like the heel of her hand on like the handle of the sword blades, as she's kind of like trying to figure out what the Steve is doing, and what she is expected to do. And so like I think like the noise of maybe like these two blades kind of like clinging together as this old woman is like tapping them and that kind of thing probably draws some attention. And then, yeah, like as people sort of look over, like Yeji's face turns from like soft old grandma to like hard assassin kind of like look, like kind of like a threatening look at anybody who looks at her, as if she, yeah, doesn't belong, or yeah, curiously, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It goes from like nice to the kind of lighting where it just cuts across your eyes when you're looking at people, right? Like Quentin Tarantino lighting, to like, I will fuck you up.
Yeah, she takes like a step forward into the light and it just becomes incredibly sinister.
Cool. And then Cross still has a downtime, right?
Yeah, so I think this is just going to be training. So I think I'm like doing a bunch of like calisthenics and exercise and maybe like weightlifting and things like that, because I'm trying to make sure I'm in top form for the job we're doing. And I think you see like again, like I alluded to, is like bandages and things like that, and there's probably definitely some wincing of like trying to catch her breath or do things like as the injury, because like I'm not doing anything to heal it, so like I'm still gonna have the injury going into the next fight, but like just trying to deal with that.
Okay. And I was thinking too, the scene with Jasmine could definitely have been free play, gather information if you have a specific other thing that you want to do.
I mean, I guess the only other thing I could do is try to actually start to make some progress on that healing.
Yeah, do you want to?
Sure. So to make progress on the healing, I roll. What do I roll?
So let's see.
Because
You're
it
gonna
works like a
do
down climb clock, but I don't know what like thing I roll.
yeah. So does anyone have friends that are helpful in this manner?
I don't think so.
I really should have taken that information broker as a friend and not a rival.
We've got Hicks, if we consider Hicks as a
Oh yeah.
contact of the crew.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. Let's do that. And let's see what Hicks has. Okay. Hicks doesn't heal though. Hicks is another haunt.
Oh, okay. Misunderstood.
What about Colin's character? We'll see if anybody can heal. Proprietary tick. Nope. What about...
I mean, if we need healing, we have turf with the team masters. And
Oh,
we've
yeah.
already established that there's like healing opportunity there. Like, not that it's free or anything, but it's at least a good opportunity.
Yeah, I think it was 2 die healing over there. So not like crazy or anything, but pretty good.
Cool. So do I just roll 2 die?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just fills in the segments just as a normal clock.
I'm just gonna do it this way.
Okay.
Cool. So
oh, nice. That's pretty good.
A 6 is 3 segments, right?
Yeah. And then a 5 would be another 2. So what are you at?
Oh, so that would just completely fill it then if it's
Yeah, so your harm would go down by 1 every time it's filled.
cool. So that would actually clear my whole clock because
Oh.
I only have level 1 harm, so it just
Sweet.
goes down to 0.
Cool.
Sweet. So yeah, at the end of it is definitely like ripping off like the bandages and like testing it to make sure that it's it feels all right, and like it like a whole montage sequence of like where it's definitely winced and then feeling better at the end of it.
Pre-heal? No, I don't think so. Yeah, the Deadites are like, something's coming. I can feel it. Let's get working, boys. Yeah, take a potion. Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool. So, yeah, do you think you go all the way to the hidden village, or do you because we also established that the tea masters always have a tea master in the city and they like rotate them out, right?
I kind of like the idea of that actually going to the hidden village, especially if we were scouting the Project Upwind thing. So like I like, and if the Steve had like this 15-day period where he was out, like that gives me enough time to like go out there, like go to the tea masters to get healed, and then maybe go like look at Project Upwind to like just like see boots on the ground, kind of what we're dealing with in that whole time frame.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's do people want to pose a question to Sato about the information that you'll get from him, and then we'll go on from there.
Yeah. Where's the weakness here?
In terms of the actual like structure of it, or what?
Yes. Right.
The structure of the actual building?
The structure of, or, well,
or like the weakness,
because I think I
plan?
can tell that on just looking at it by what I have on as resources, special abilities by now. I would think, no, where in this operation is Nourish's weakness, basically?
I think though their
what
weakness.
do they have on the line or something like that?
Well, the weakness in the actual like day-to-day of what they're doing is that the engineers aren't like they're being held and being intimidated and made to work and stuff. But part of the reason why they're doing it is because like Nourish is posing as people who are just basically researching and trying to get this thing going again. But if the people in there knew that they were Nourished, they would not allow them there with them. And also part of the weakness too is that they're not like hanging out with the engineers all of the time at like while they're doing their work, because they know that people can't go anywhere anyway. So some of them just stay. There's like, if it was like a shift schedule in guard duty and stuff like that, there's swaths of time where they're not being supervised at all.
Cool.
Darren, you got a question?
Sure.
Get Soto up. Imagine I am Soto.
I want to know how I can blend in there. And I'm thinking more of the corporate environment.
Well, that's interesting because you just got the credentials from that guy.
The floppy disk,
yeah, the floppy disk. We're on that, huh? Yeah, so if you show them the floppy disk, they'll believe that you're from Nourish. How about that?
Is there like specific uniforms I should get? I imagine so. Mannerisms, code words.
Yeah. He'll give you like, let's see. I'm not sure if he would. He will. Maybe there's like some of those pictures have those people in the walkaway camp, and so you can see like what they're wearing and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't think it would be like acquiring an asset level stuff, but I'm sure you can mimic it, and it's just be What would they be posing as? Maybe just like they would like. I think they're just posing as walkaways, just like them, right? So it's just normal clothes and stuff like that, anyway. But to get in with the Nourish, like if you show up with your walkaway clothes, which is just like normal city garb and stuff like that, right? And then we're like, yo, I'm one of you, floppy disk. Then we'll say that you have that fictional positioning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Also, could it not be a floppy disk? Though?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
just
Gotta blow on this floppy disk here. Got this information.
gotta hold it. If the spring's broke, it doesn't. You can't use it.
Exactly. Cool. Yeji? Any question?
What were there set questions? I was having trouble finding those if there were.
On your playbook on the bottom left corner it says gather information and there's suggested questions, but they're just suggestions.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they're usually geared towards like what your playbook does and is doing.
Got it. So I think I'll ask along the lines of how can I find X? But what I want to know is like what there. I'm just going to reword the question. What
Sure.
there might, what's there that might be valuable to us in the long run? Like what extra incentive, what extra items might it behoove us to grab while we're there?
Okay. Interesting. So, I think that when you're studying the same pictures, the Blade Runner pictures, you'll see that like, let's see, maybe you catch some markings on the side of the giant windpipe looking thing going into the sky. And the markings trace back to like this old corporation that is like now defunct. It was before, like when Shelter One was being made, they helped bankroll it. But they were all about like maybe the symbol is probably like a water drop or something, right? Like they're all renewable energy stuff. And you know that renewable energy in Shelter One goes for like mucho dineros. Like that's that swimmer money, right? It can whatever this place does or was doing, or even information about the location of this place is somewhat like money. You could definitely sell, like you could definitely take these photos, take it to a data broker, and they'd be like, "Oh hell yes," and give you money, right? So there's not physical objects there, but everything else about it is good.
That kind of leads into what I was thinking of, which is more like on a personal level to like Soto of like, what do they intend to do? Because like there's all this information, and I'm like, he made a big deal of like, hey, we're not friends. I don't talk to people and deal with people who are friends. I'm like, buddy, look, we got you out. We're doing this thing. You know a little bit of what we're doing here, of like trying to take some stuff. You're a smart fellow. I'm sure you can put two and two together. So what are you planning on doing now with all this information, and how is that going to affect us?
I think he looks at you and like you can tell in his mind the wheels are turning and remembering you fucking up those two guys very easily. And he's like, well, how about I give you 24 hours before I sell the information?
He was like, okay. Like, we want to make sure that we're going. 24 hours should be seeming fine. And just remember, we're helping you. You're helping us. Next time when we come to chat, like, let's not make it a whole big cat and mouse game, because that didn't work out well for your other guys.
He sort of like nods grudgingly at that, right? Like, that's the point.
Cool. I'm good.
Okay, cool. So what are people thinking now in terms of like what you want to do with the headquarters versus this like side thing in this hidden area.
So what I was thinking, and maybe I'm misunderstanding like what everybody else is doing, but the way I pictured this is we're hitting like the headquarters immediately. That's causing like a big chaos and hubbub, which means that they'll hopefully not be paying attention when we then go hit the Upwind project, Project Upwind outside of Shelter One. That's the way I envisioned it, and maybe I'm misenvisioning it, but that's what I seemed.
It would be a safe bet that if the headquarters got fucked up, that the Nourish employees over there will be like, whoa, because they think they're completely safe, right? Nobody knows about this place, and it's in a weird location at like the top of this giant mountain that it's incredibly steep. So people don't generally like go around that place and go find it and stuff. So,
and if we hit the headquarters, we kind of need to get out of the city for a while, anyways. So
that can be your laying low place.
In a way, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're laying low by hitting them again.
Yeah. Yeah, well, chances are if the headquarters is struck and all this stuff is happening and some people are like trying to call in from a satellite dish from like this weird walkaway camp, they're not going to be like first priority. So I think that's a safe assumption. And so what do people want to actually accomplish with the Nourish headquarters job then, though?
I mean, I think like that idea of like knocking them down a tier is pretty good. And then getting some loot by wagering in the hunt is pretty good as well. So I think that's the one thing that like if we do this, I want to make sure that we're like lined up to achieve both those things, I think.
Right. Yeah. So I think the money will be the money that you make from the hunt, right? Betting on it. But yeah, I think messing them up will bring them down a tier, but I didn't know if you wanted to accomplish something with the Act of God. Like, is it a cover for you to get in there and mess something up? Or is it just like, I just want the building to be hit and fuck them up pretty good?
The way I had imagined it, it doesn't necessarily need to be the way that it plays out, is that like we create this big thing and then that is essentially distracting them. We get in, do whatever we're going to do and get out, and then we can stop it. Like, or if it gets out of hand because we're cleaners, like we have the ability to stop it at any time. So like our advantage is that like we can kind of like have some control over the situation, even though it's a situation that's out of their control.
Okay.
I kind of like, I was going to say, I kind of like the idea of we're going in there and stealing something that we can broadcast to other people and like disseminate information, like of like maybe things that they're doing wrong or even just products or stuff like that, as part of like the dropping the tier thing. Like, oh, you can't trust this company, they're doing these things and these things. And maybe that's like the thing we're stealing that helps drop their tier level down from tier 5 to tier 4 or something like that.
Yeah, I like that as well. I would actually switch the order a bit around a bit, in the sense that I'd like to, and this could be an idea where I kind of set you up, but basically we crack the shell of the headquarters, and then the Act of God hits to create way more destruction, because like we do a very flashy big terrorist attack directly, the Act of God hits, and under that cover and that chaos, you get the scoop on the inside, so that we both like on a material level hurt them, and then on a public political level as well, with what you find what you get out of it. Because just materially they might take a hit, but might not drop them a tier, right? Like, I think they have like a lot of resources and favors to call on, but if they're under pressure from both of those sides.
Yeah, for sure. I like that idea a lot. So is the idea that you're gonna wait for like, I don't know, a sandstorm to hit to call the active god that strikes them, basically? So that there's kind of like two active gods going on? Or
I think the way it's supposed to look like that there is an act of terrorism, and coincidentally, an act of God strikes at the same time or very soon after, and that leaves their normal defenses against acts of God dysfunctioning. So it actually wreaks a lot more havoc than it would normally. And my idea here is, I do want to kind of hit them with a big wrecking action, right? To create that crack in their shield or their shell for the act of God to get on the inside of their headquarters and actually do real damage, not just.
cool. So, what type of plan is that? An assault plan?
Yes.
Feels like assault.
Yeah. Cool. And so, do people want to gather some information about that first in some free play scenes, or do people feel like they?
Can I do an extra downtime action really quick?
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't
It
ask.
seems fine. No, it's okay. I just want to make sure before we got too far into the engagement. I just want to indulge Vice because I'm at 8. And I should do that before this.
And what is the vice again?
So I went with Faith, and I think what that looks like, because Gabrish works with the like data runners a lot. I think that there's like maybe it's not like strictly a religion, but I think there's something about like all the literal running they do and all the like rooftops, alleyways. The way I'm seeing is that basically like Gabrish joins them and they do this like run. Where like Gabrish doesn't know where they're going, but they're following with the group and just trusting with that.
Cool.
Do you want to go running with the the data runners or the Gabrish?
Yeah. Cross will totally go running with you, but is like totally viewing this as just like physical training.
Yeah.
Like just jumping from roof to roof and things like that.
Gabrish.
Probably because Cross is actually pretty good and fit is like, wait, like this is pretty easy. Like what's going on?
Yeah, Gabrish is like trying to tell you about like this higher meaning about it and like talking about relaxation and like giving up control and like blah 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 blah.
Once you break through the wall.
Oh heck yeah.
Oh wow. What the hell's going on with you guys? Critting it. So 8 again, right? What?
Yes, perfect. No stress. Thank you, Cross. That was the best run I've ever had.
Yeah, apparently. Jeez.
We're just too good at this game.
Yeah, apparently. And oddly indulging stress. Usually it's other places. Cool. Yeah, we're PCs. Nice. What is going on? Cool. So, do people want to gather information about this wrecking?
I was like,
it'll be tough to hit a headquarters to like open them up, right?
I mean, yeah. I'd be willing to do, if we need special information, to do that in flashbacks in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so here's what I'm thinking, right? Like the response will obviously be tough to deal with, but actually hitting them. So we're tier 1. I would get potency from when you wreck something larger in scale than you. And I would get potency from when you use a long range weapon from cover, you can wreck something as though you were tracing them and have potency. So that already puts us at tier 3 versus 4. So that's way closer. So with a little bit of stress use, or I also have a coin still open where I could say, yeah, no, like I want to get a special weapon for this and do an acquire asset. That might get us to an actual tier where it makes sense to do the first strike part, right? Like we'll have difficulty dealing with whatever follows up. So, but I think the first step is, yeah, I think we could deal with if we want like information on stuff that happens afterwards. But that's still really hard to tell beforehand.
Yeah. Okay. So
I was
yeah,
gonna say the only piece of information that I could think of is what their first response would be, like where that first responder like type of stuff when an act of like terrorism like is coming from, where that would be. And so to be set up ready to deal with that in one way or another.
mhm. Okay. So do you want to gather that information somehow
Yeah,
then?
I'll gather that information. I think, what would it be? It's probably like it might be something as simple as just like getting somebody to call in like a fake bomb threat type thing and see like what their responses are and like their timing on things and something like that. Like, oh yes, like this bomb is, or like there's a bomb in this transport that's coming towards you, like, and see how they respond to it, like where they come from, where their sentries are, and things like that.
Cool.
I don't know. Is that survey? It feels like survey to me.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, cross.
I am doing so well. I have rolled a whole bunch of ones this session.
Yeah, that's like 3 or 4 ones, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like when it matters, that's when you get your crits anyway.
Yep.
So whatever. Cool. So is it like a what is their weakness type thing?
Yeah, something like that. Or like, how do they plan on responding? Because essentially, I want to be in the place that they plan on responding to deal with their response.
Right. Okay. So I think what happens is you see like the bomb threat, and maybe you mimic like a projectile hitting the building or something like that, right?
Sure.
And what happens is like almost right after it, there's like a green tracer line that comes out, mimicking where the projectile came from, and then they send people to that space. But interestingly, Nourish doesn't have their own sort of like security corps. The people guarding Nourish are safety at the different corporation, which is in the same district as them. Yeah, but it's still like quite far away in terms of where the actual physical location is. What are you guys talking about?
It's a secret.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like
About it.
first rule of the chat score is we don't talk about the chat score.
I had a question. I don't know if maybe I just missed this detail as we were talking about all this, but like, is there like an actual like shield or defense or something around the building?
No, there's not like a futuristic
Okay.
shield or anything like that. It's just the materials are, yeah. The building itself is well constructed.
Sure.
And
That good
reinforced.
steel. Not
Yeah.
recycled.
Yeah.
I also don't imagine us actually bringing the entire building down.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it seems like you want to just like crack a big enough hole that the act of God when it strikes is like
Gets inside there.
effective. Cool. Yeah, which is cool because it's like basically the picture that I posted earlier.
We talk about halo jumping so much that somebody's got to do it at some point.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the old lady.
So is it a? Do we move to the assault plan then?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is people halo jumping in? That's pretty cool.
Yeju will answer, or not Yeju, I'm sorry. Just making up my own characters now. Gracefully going into the front door, thank you. on their own 2 feet.
I mean, you just finished a run. You don't want to take a chance. You're feeling good. Basically, just skydiving. Practically, it's fine. It's all fine.
I'm stress free. I can take a stroll.
Yeah. Assault. Do violence to a target. The point of attack. Cool. The point of attack seems to be just like a location on the building that will allow for the bolt to hit it. So is it like is it kind of like that act of God thing that you guys did before where what you strike them with is also like telling the lightning or whatever where it's going to strike as well? Like it punctures the building, but it's also the like tracer shot for where it's going to hit or something?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that could actually serve as a setup.
And maybe there's like a second shot right after that has like a beacon or whatever launching to it.
Even just to put a little bit of control on, because I imagine they can create the act of God, but they can't necessarily like pinpoint where it is. So maybe like that's this extra little step that like targets it at a particular lab or conference, like boardroom or something like that.
Yeah, where it's like vulnerable, basically, right? Or seemingly most vulnerable. So are you wanting? Well, I guess it'll depend on the engagement roll, I guess, to see what position you're in. And then you might need to do some setting up and stuff like that. So you start with 1 for luck. Is it particularly bold and daring? Yeah. I should think so. Is it contingent on many factors? It doesn't seem so. It seems pretty simple. You just shoot and crack it open, and then potentially that might be the trace for the act of God as well. So it seems all right. Does this plan's detail expose a vulnerability to the target? Yes, I will say so. They don't have particular defenses against somebody trying to shoot them with a lightning bolt or whatever, or even just to be so bold as to like crack open the building and stuff like that, right? I don't think they have people in the basement being like, but what if? So, can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight in this operation?
I mean, we spent a whole bunch of time getting aid, but I think that's all the setup. It's not actually in this part of it.
Yeah, I mean, for this specific engagement, is any friends seem helpful?
I mean, I've got an old military contact. Hannah could help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like a thing.
Yeah,
especially if it's an old military contact, maybe they like actually know how this structure is constructed too.
Yeah, cool. Maybe she got hired as part of like security assessment for something at some point.
Do you want to take her with you, or do you want her to serve as like my spotter?
Maybe as your spotter.
Oh, okay. So not towards the engagement role.
I was just thinking, doesn't she need to be somewhere in the score though? If we take her like that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. So so we're at 4. Are they tiers ahead of you? Yeah. You guys are like the loftiest fucking crew I've ever seen before. We're just like, okay, so we just hit 1. Maybe let's take down the biggest corporation we can find. This is fine. Or knock them down a tier at least. So that'll decrease by 1. Maybe there's a situation in the district that makes the operation more or less tricky. I don't think so. I don't think anyone's seen this shit coming. I know I didn't see this shit coming. So, yeah, I think you've got 3. And let's see what position you're in when you start the operation.
Steve, you want to roll this?
And this is actually cracking the building, right?
Oh, I should roll. Yeah, I can do that. Engagement roll. 3 dice. Was that correct? 3 dice? Nice.
Nice. Control position. So it seems like it almost
They
seems
had
like
no
nobody saw
idea
it coming.
that we're coming. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So I do think well, let's make a clock here. Not sure what I should make this clock. Maybe a 6-sided for cracking it open. Something like that. I might adjust it later, but I think we need a clock for it. Cracking it open. Okay, let's do it. All right. So, and is the thing you're shooting the tracing thing, or is it just like you've already? Has Yeji already been like, this is the exact spot and location I want, and here's the time and the date and all that kind of stuff, or what?
So I think first we need to decide on load. Do not forget that.
Oh yeah. If you guys are, yeah. I guess it depends what your actions are going to be after you crack this open. For just straight people, it's fine. Nobody saw us. Or if you're like going into Nourish, right? Because you want to extract information and stuff, right? You might want to be heavy. So
yeah, I think I'm heavy.
I think I'm heaviest too.
So
and I think, yeah, I think cracking them open is like this. There's definitely like the physical attack, and I think that I like the idea with we need to actually do a proper tracing with an additional type of tech afterwards. But I think the first hit would actually be the huge, big explosion type of thing. And under that pressure, then getting the trace in properly as part of the cracking open, I imagine.
yeah.
Follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think you have enough fictional positioning that you'll be able to like crack it in one shot, but then the completion of it is like having everything in place so that after your shot goes off, the act of God actually strikes the correct spot and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 6-sided seems good for that. And yeah. So did you acquire a thing? A better asset for this shot?
Yes, I think. Yeah. Let's do that. So I spend a coin for an additional downtime action.
Mm-hmm.
And
then your tier is what you would roll.
yeah. So, and I think what we actually see on screen is on one of those on this like side, like a kind of perch that we can see in the picture, one of the side buildings. That's where the Steve is kind of setting up, and this is like actually looking like opening once again one of those military type what do you call them, cases, right, and putting like a thing together. That's what we see as I do the.
But it's like instead of a sniper rifle, it looks like the barrel is like way bigger, right? Like you're basically shooting like not like a cannon or something at them, but the caliber of the weapon is like much bigger, right?
Yeah, this is like rocket launcher type stuff.
Yeah.
I'll also mark the large weapon for this. Yeah. And I think we might need to push this afterwards. We still have a little bit of coin left, right? And let's see what tier the weapon is. Well, that's not a good tier.
That's -1 tier. You have 0.
Yeah, so if we spend the crew sheet coin, then that is tier 1. Then it's exactly our tier. Does anybody have an idea?
Because you were saying your tier with your bonuses is
We get to 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to get 2
I'll-
more.
Yeah, I'll spend one more to get on an equal footing, right?
Well, because it's tier
Oh,
5.
yeah, yes. Oh, they're tier 5?
Yeah, they're tier 5.
Oh, I thought they were tier 3, 4. No, that's cool. So I'm going to spend 2 out of my stash, and I think this is basically the Steve going like, yeah, like if this goes wrong, this goes wrong. Like I'm gonna just put my stuff into betting on the hunt as well, right, and all that jazz. That would get us to 4, and I think I can work with that. By pushing and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like packing this huge thing that I imagine does need kind of support, and I get like radioed in from another side, like that's reaffirming like the coordinates that I'm like, right, this is not a thing that you actually need to aim straight. You just need to have everything set up for the whatever I'm shooting to hit the building in a good spot and from a good angle.
Right.
So this will be I want to use rec.
Yeah. And then so the idea is to crack it open and then send the trace in after, I guess, right? For the thing to get
that'll
hit.
be a follow-up thing, and it doesn't need to be what I do. It could be somebody else before you like parachute in or whatever you other people want to do. This is the first crack, the thing that's going to be on the cameras, on the feeds, I imagine. So I assume if I have when you wreck something larger in scale, then you and your group, you have potency, and when you use a long range weapon from cover, you can wreck something or someone as though you were tracing them, and you have potency. So that puts us up to we are 1, 2, 3. I used my stash, so we're 4. So that I assume that would only put us at limited effect.
Yeah.
But I think I could just take my time and push this because we're controlled, right?
Yeah, you have plenty of time, seems like.
Yeah. Like if I like take my time hanging out here, I can push the situation to make this standard.
Yeah.
And then we would get like 2 in here.
Yeah, you'd get 2. And then that's without pushing yourself, is it? Or is it with pushing yourself?
No, this is pushing the situation for better effect.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
I'm taking time, so there's more risk that I might get noticed or something is already on my trail or coming to check me out or something like
Yeah.
that.
And then if you wanted to risk it, you could always get somebody to set you up, but it might devolve your position before.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know who or if anybody has an idea here. This would, like, getting great here would mean we get 3 ticks on the clock instead of 2.
I mean, setup could be something as simple as like, because if you're just trying to aim for a position or something like that, like on the building, of like maybe making sure things are clear. So like even if it's just like directing traffic or things that like might obscure the path or things like controlling the situation where you're around or things that might obscure it might be useful.
Yeah, or if someone is already very close to the target, we could be doing actually triangulating it, right? We have our
Hmm.
spotter, we have me, and a third person who's already like waiting for the wall to be burst down on the ground. I don't know if that's
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm definitely up close. That's where I imagine me to be like dealing with the response. So maybe I could be your other spotter, like up
Yeah,
close.
I kind of like the idea of it being like such a futuristic weapon that after you shoot it and like the wind can affect it, if Cross is below and pointing at where it's supposed to shoot, the bullet will go there anyway, even, like it will find
Yeah.
that spot no matter what. That's kind of cool, especially if like 2 other people or whatever on buildings are like pointing at this spot. And so like no matter what happens, it'll like hit within like a, centimeter of it or whatever. I think that would
Oh,
be
yeah,
cool.
I like that.
And I think what we see is like I also, because I really want to use them, mark my multi-spectrum goggles.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think they're like actually like physically plugged into my cybernetics device as well. And I'm definitely going, okay, Cross, I think I've got the shot lined up. Tell me when to, like, right, you also determine what the timing is.
Yeah, I'm
in
like,
that sense.
there's somebody crossing. Give it in 10, 9, and then
Yeah. Somebody crossing. So are you actually doing a setup action though, Yoshi?
yeah, sure, I'll
To
totally
give
do
the
that. I think
cool.
maybe this is probably prowl just to like keep myself hidden while I'm doing it. So like I'm not visibly like attracting attention type thing as I'm spotting from there.
Sounds good. And so yeah, you're in controlled. Everybody's in controlled right now. And it would be standard effect, yeah.
Cool. All right, I'm good with that. I got a 5.
Cool. Let's see. In a controlled position, you hesitate, withdraw into a different approach, minor consequence, minor complication, reduced effect, suffer lesser harm, end up in a risky position. Oh, yeah, I like the idea of you lending the setup effect, so Matthias can select what they want from the setup effect. But I think after the shot goes off, people. I know what happens. So you're shining the thing where it's supposed to go, right? After the shot goes off, that green dot, instead of going over and selecting where the Steve is, the green dot is like on your chest instead of the Steve after, right? So you end up in a risky situation unless you resist it.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'm willing to take that.
Okay, cool. So let's see what the Steve pulls off here.
Yeah, so I'm at risky great.
Yes.
Devil's a ripple. I have an idea.
Well, the
But-
easy one would be a response.
I'm assuming there'll be a response either way. Right? There's something is going to be coming. I might, if like this goes perfectly, I'm back at a controlled position where I can maybe dodge them. But what I'm thinking is, after all is said and done, I forgot something here on this balcony
Mm,
that they will be able to personally identify me with
Sure.
for future
I like that.
sending a hitman after me or whatever. So after whatever happens here and we pack up or anything, I leave something behind that definitely leaves like a DNA trace of myself here. At this
Sure.
spot. Okay, so that's 3 dice. Let's see how this goes.
Nice.
That's the 6.
Nice. So 3 ticks. It goes exactly as you
And I
thought.
think what we get this I get the fire command from Cross, right? And I shoot this thing off, and it's actually like a rocket, and it arcs out from the building, turns toward Nourish headquarters, and then we get the silly over shoulder cam on the rocket type thing, right? And what we see is, and this is what's special about the weapon, it actually breaks open and splits up into like 6 individual rockets that hit 6 weak points. That's going to cause like a cascading effect on this one side of the building or something like that, right? It's actually going to break it open in a very literal sense, I feel. If that's cool with you, Fraser.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm super into that. So I'm thinking, Yeji, do you have the means of getting the trace in there? Because you're the one that's setting up the whole Act of God thing. Do you have a neat idea for that?
Yeah, I mean, I want to base jump into the hole that's been created. Is that not an idea?
So the idea is like do the Mission Impossible jump off of like a taller building to...
Or like, yeah, about the same height, but like I'm at the top of that and I'm trying to get to a lower floor. I was just thinking Fast and Furious 5 or whatever. Like I should drive a car in between buildings. But I think I'll stay with the parachute kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what?
I was going to say, can I do a setup action
Sure.
for Yeji? Base jumping onto like whatever floor this is, I presume that there's like some sort of security in this building. And sorry, I'm dying apparently. Yeah, so there's some security or whatever. So I'm picturing this, the way that Gabrish went in was using that key badge, the ID badge or whatever, the floppy disk. And I probably like go up to this floor or whatever, and it like right after the hole gets blown into the building, or maybe right before, I don't know, whatever timing is the best. I want to like take out the guards, basically to give Yeji like a clear landing. Not that Yeji needs my help with that, but I want to help.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the hole gets ripped open, and then we see you like walking in this door with this room that's like half gone or whatever. And your plan is just to take out the guards that are obviously going to be coming here? Or...
Yeah. So, or like whatever little retinue was on that floor already. Just, yeah, whichever few that were there.
Okay. So this is desperate and probably limited. We'll say, just to be nice, that there's 2 of them, and a whole bunch of them probably like died or something. It's probably got something to do with why you targeted here, right? Like it was the best location to crack it open, and it was the best time to get like most of the guards or whatever, right? Maybe it was like the guard room or barracks or cafeteria or something where they were eating, something like that. but they're definitely like they're tier 5 and pretty hardcore. So
But I'm surprising him.
yeah. So you'll definitely be setting Yeji up if
Mhm.
you manage this, but you'll need to get some effect. You'll need to be pushing yourself or flashing back or something like that to get in on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I will definitely push myself. I can't think of anything that I would flash back to like position myself better for this. I think I just gotta do it. I gotta try.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a devil's bargain? Or sorry, a ripple?
A ripple.
I'm fine with pushing myself, but
Let's see. I kind of like the idea that you get also they also like maybe you missed like a camera or something like that, right? You get identified as well. So throughout all of this, they're just like identifying each of you is going to be my ripple, and then like by the end, they'll just be like, we know exactly who these fuckers are.
I'll just push myself. Thanks, though.
Okay, sounds good.
I want it to be skirmish, I think. Is that
Okay.
the word for this
Yeah,
one?
the
I'm not being sneaky.
combat. Yeah.
Combat, yeah. Okay. And then I checked off a disposable gun.
Cool.
These are desperate, limited.
Are you doing an extra or are you?
I have one in skirmish, so like it's fine, but maybe I should push it to standard effect. Yeah, I'll push it to standard effect.
Okay.
And then no extra die.
All right.
Ooh, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
God, well, 20 really just.
Okay, so on a 1 to 3, it's the worst outcome. It's you suffer severe harm, a serious complication occurs, you lose this opportunity for action. So I'm gonna be really nice and display what tier is like in this game for you. So I think it can go 2 ways, right? You can the guys are running there and they look like basically those SWAT guys, right? Like the altered carbon, all in black military dudes. And I think basically I'll be nice and say that like you go after them or into this room and you how do you lose the opportunity? I think maybe you just lose the opportunity in that you see what they're sort of like wearing and stuff like that and know that your shots won't go through it before you even take the shot, right? Like you have it all lined up and then you see that they're wearing like, like I don't know, you're like, oh shit, this is H&K 3rd level whatever serial number body armor. It's never going to pierce that, right? And so I think you hesitate a little bit and that's when they like round the corner into that door already instead of you dying.
Sorry, AG.
So there's no setup, but Yeji, you're skydiving into this place. Yeah. So what action do you think that is?
Finesse.
Okay, yeah. Like it's probably not a huge.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Or whatever, and I'm a block or 2 away, and have to like time the parachute and all that kind of thing. And like probably I want to cut it away so that I tuck and roll into the hole and all of that kind of thing, so I'm not getting tangled up. Like
Right. And we now know that there's 2 guards in there now too. So I think it's risky just in that this seems like a really delicate maneuver that you're doing here.
Okay.
It'll have standard effect. It'll get you in.
Mm-hmm. So then here comes the question.
What is the question?
Do I get it? Is there a way that I can get an extra die here? And do I want to?
Do you have items for this? And
I don't.
if you have fine gear, that could boost your effect. So let's see.
Disguise kit.
Yeah, on the list of things, I don't see anything that's going to help.
I mean, custom flicker wear is
Well,
also helpful, so nobody spots you and stuff.
Well, you're a fuse, right? So what
Well, I
about
was
muting tech, right? Your muting tech literally makes it so that you make no sound.
Yeah.
So I'd give you greater effect with that.
Okay.
And then hopefully you took cutting edge if you need to deal with the guards. And then in terms of a ripple, was this your escape route as well?
Ooh. Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense.
Then the ripple is the escape is cut off.
Maybe, yeah, like maybe I was going to like go inside, do whatever I was, place the tracer, and then continue the mission. But then, like at the end of the mission, I would be coming out the same way, picking up the parachute and that kind of thing, and then like hopping back down or whatever. So
Yes.
yeah, I think that.
So no matter what happens, your parachute gets like a little ripped and stuff, right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. I hope you guys all don't die for this.
Oh no.
Okay. So you're in a risky position. Let's see. I think as you're coming in, that same piece of metal that's jetting out, that rips up your parachute and stuff like that, it hooks your parachute, right? And because you're like going in through the crack, you don't jettison just as like you should have jettisoned just a moment sooner. And so your body gets like pushed back as the parachute is held in place. And you swing back and like your leg gets struck against some of those similar jetting out metal, and you take 2 harm to your leg and then crash to the floor.
2 harm to my leg.
Yep. Unless you want to resist the consequences.
So that stacks on top of the 1 harm that I already have, right?
Yes.
And resist that.
Yeah. And I'll say if you resist it, you can just actually eject it at the right time, right? So it doesn't swing back.
Okay. And then how do I resist again? What do I roll?
So you tell me what you're resisting with, and then roll
Oh, how I'm doing that? So maybe like I'm realizing that like it's like not coming off. And so I'm going to like grab my blades and actually like cut it.
Cool.
So that's both like totally abandoning like this parachute concept as an escape, and yeah.
So it sounds like prowess.
Yeah, that feels right.
Cool. So just hit the prowess button and it'll do it for you.
Okay.
So only 1 stress. That's definitely worth it. So yeah, you cut it off, and I imagine the building it's literally like ruptured, right? So you land on this floor that, like, behind you is essentially, you could look out and just see the city now, right? Like it's like the Star Trek ship got hit by a proton torpedo or whatever, and there's like the vacuum out there, but it's the city. Yeah. So let's go back to Cross then. So Cross, the green dot is painted right on you, right? And so what do you do? Do you have something in mind to having dealt with that? Because part of your gathering information was seeing that already, right?
Yeah. So I think like I know where it's coming from. So it's about me just trying to break line of sight with like where this dot is. So like going behind another building or things. So like they know the general direction, but they don't like have it pinpointed on me anymore of like where that source is. But like since we still have this clock for cracking Nourish open, and like the other thing is like we know they're going to make a call to safety. So like I think I have a device or something that maybe Gracious helped like beforehand set up where I'm like, hi, this is safety here to respond to all of your calls. And like I'm doing this as like I'm walking away trying to break the line of sight. Like, yes, we see the disturbance on your record. We will be sending a team over. Oh, you need 2 teams. Yes, we'll have that there in just a moment type thing.
Okay. So what role do you think that is?
I feel like it's probably Sway. Like that's what it feels like.
Cool. I like this. I like this little bit. So I think take 1 stress for the flashback because it's not too controlled. We've already been dealing with that. Do you have any items that would help you in this situation, especially with any fine items from your crew or anything that would help you out?
I don't know about any fine items.
It might be specialized tech.
Yeah,
right?
I have
Intercepting this call.
Yeah, I have specialized tech. I was going to mark that anyways. It's just it's not fine. It's just normal quality.
Well, I think it is.
We have as a crew, everybody gets +1.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So that's good. So I think with that, it's still risky because they might not believe you, right? But I think you'll have standard effect because of that.
Can I make it desperate and try to get a greater effect out of it, like quoting like some like handbook or something that they have, or protocol, or like their ID number, like oh, we see that your like this is client ID, whatever type thing.
Sure. Just remember that desperate consequences it's serious, right?
Yeah, I'll just resist that.
Yeah, okay. Like desperate is you overreach your capabilities. You're in serious trouble. That's what it says.
I want great effect.
Okay, sounds good.
So that would put it at desperate great?
Desperate great.
I will push myself for another die then.
Cool.
So I will get desperate great with.
So what I'll do then is I'll make another response clock, and instead of it being filled, I'll have it filled, and I'll tick it away as I need, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that like I'm telling them there's a response coming, but like I'm sure the real response will eventually come, but like they actually have to call and realize, oh, they're not, it's been 5 minutes. They said they were going to be here in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Where are they? Oh, I guess the call didn't go through type thing.
Yeah.
All right. So here's my roll. Look at that.
A crit. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's pretty good. As usual with Cross.
So what does this mean, crit, right? You send the actual response somewhere else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the additional effect that you want?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, so it's I get off the call like with them, like, yeah, we'll send the response, and then like immediately sending the response, like talking again to safety coming from their building. Like, yes, we had like it's a false alarm. Just ignore that. We were trying something. There's no response needed, like type thing.
So does it make the response clock just a bigger size?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, I
that.
guess so. And then I guess each time you guys do something, I'll just tick it up. But because it's a 12-sided clock now, it'll be a while anyway. Does that seem fair?
Sweet. I love it.
Cool. So yeah, when you guys do actions, I'll tick it up, but now it's gonna be a while. If it even, yeah, I don't know if it'll take you 12 actions to to do whatever it is you're doing. So should we do one more quick thing before fading to black, essentially? So let's pull the table now. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure. So, okay, so maybe let's do XP now then, right? That would be the scene that it gets we fade out on, which is pretty cool. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. Cool. Yeah. So instead, you send them to what, like the coil? It's always the coil. Cool. And we just see like a safety airship or something launch into the sky and start moving in the opposite direction or something, right? And that'll be then it's like executive producers. Cool. Darren, do you want to do XP?
I would love to. I did roll desperate action. I marked that. Did I address the challenge with deception or influence? Deception or influence. Maybe influencing that guy to get that asset to get in.
Yep.
And then I haven't really done anything.
Well,
I think
you infiltrated Nourish, right, with
right.
his credentials.
Yeah, I didn't put that on screen too much, but yeah, that was there.
I mean, you made a roll with it already, so
True.
yeah.
I think that roll means that I need to stay in my lane and not try to shoot people.
Yeah, well, I was just like, oh man, desperate. You could be dead right now for sure. Could be dead.
Well, I would have resisted something.
Yeah, it would have been bad for you for sure, though.
Did I express my beliefs, drives, culture, or background? Maybe a little bit with my advice, working with the data runners and doing all that. But I don't. Well, and also like leaning into this Nourish plan. I think definitely that's been the big drive for Gibberish.
Yeah.
Not bookmark manager. And then I struggle with device or trauma. Nope.
Cool.
Nothing to struggle with. I did the opposite of struggling.
Mm-hmm. And I did the opposite of struggling. I loved it. Cool, Matthias?
Yeah, so no desperate actions for me today. You addressed the challenge with technical skill or mayhem. Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. That was a thing.
But I actually only did this once. It was a big thing, but that's one for that.
Well, it depends because you also did acquiring asset and spent a ton of money on it as well.
Yeah.
That depends. It's up to you, but
that's not technical skill or mayhem, I guess.
I mean, you put all of your resources into wrecking something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, I'll let myself be convinced.
Okay.
You expressed your beliefs, drives, culture, or background. Well, one first time we even saw Steve's Vice on screen. So that definitely. That shows part of it's a kind of weird mixture between drive and belief, what a vice is.
Yeah.
And then following up on that, his like general cheeriness and amicability kind of also shows like this guy is really volatile on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't struggle with issues from my voice, actually. High functioning, I would say today.
Yeah. There was some weird fails and crits in this game today.
Yes.
JG?
So I think I'm pretty low. I did not roll a desperate action. I addressed a challenge with stealth or precision in sneaking into the thing. And then express beliefs drives culture background. I think the drive to like pull off one big score is pretty central to Yeji. So I think pushing for that and getting over the lip on that is that. But yeah, I think it's just the 2 points.
Well, I don't know. Do you think that all the downtime stuff with Yeji would lend towards beliefs, drives, culture, or background stuff?
Yeah, I was gonna say I felt like you hit that a lot. I think you
Okay.
should get 2 points for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think stealth and precision, yeah, just the one time, but every other scene was about those other things, I think.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
You guys are so hard on each other. Or on yourselves, I guess, not each other. Yoshi?
Yeah, so I marked my desperate action, address a challenge with violence or coercion. Yeah, I actually addressed multiple things with coercion. Not as much with violence, but like coercing people to do what we need.
Yeah.
And then drives, beliefs, heritage, background. Yeah, I think like bringing in Hannah, all about trying to hit Nourish, focusing on Sato to like how do we like destroy Nourish. I think all of that stuff kind of hit that. I finally have a trauma, but I didn't struggle with it, so I get nothing from that. But that's okay; it'll come in.
Yeah, later. Cool. And then who wants to do the crew sheet?
I've got it open if you like.
Sure.
Execute a successful accident, disappearance, murder, or ransom operation. That hasn't happened yet, right? Content with challenges above your current station.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Is that 1 or 2?
What do people think?
This is very above our station.
A lot, yeah. Like
Levels of our station.
it's almost the polar opposite of you, right? Like you just got to
Yeah.
level or to tier 1.
Okay. Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're angling like if we make it out of this, something like terrorists or something like that definitely needs to be a reputation, right?
We're not terrorists. We're freedom fighters.
Yeah. And I think the reputation needs to be the way we're angling with the ripples for known terrorists / freedom fighters.
Yeah, I'll say. You're eco-terrorists.
Yeah. But right now, when I don't think we bolstered any of the ones we have yet. Express the goal strives in the conflict or essential nature of the crew. It definitely won, right? Because this is what everything is culminating, and we're really working together as well as a team. Do we have another aspect to add to that though that we saw today?
Well, a lot of people were bringing each other into scenes for good reasons.
Yeah, so too.
I like the Steve bringing in Yeji, and pretty much every downtime was with other people, right?
Yeah, that was a great suggestion by Mike as well. Like to like insert yourself there, and then I could like incorporate that. Yeah, cool.
Everyone leveled apparently. Everyone's like, "Oh, maybe I should take things that'll make this job easier." Whatever, guys. Why don't you be more like Cross and roll some desperate shit? I was so afraid for Cross. I was like, oh, okay, if you want to make it desperate, that's cool. But
Who deleted all the mark XP right now on the crew sheet? We were here. We're 2 off from a new advancement.
Okay.
Crew sheet.
Cool.
They just vanished a moment.
I thought I was resetting it on mine.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Cool. So you don't have time for wishes and dreams and hopes and the things? Or do you want to go first?
I have a couple of moments still. It's cool.
Sure. Why don't you go first then, just in case you have to go, then you can just...
Yeah, I like that we're like stars for, like, we're trying this out, going against a really tough opponent, and everybody's open for it, and we're like putting together what we need to, and that's really cool. That could end in a complete disaster next time, but that's really exciting setup for next time. And I also like I'm definitely noticing how people are like grokking the system more and more, and angling for the little stuff, and things are getting way smoother, and like, oh yeah, I have these 2 elements from, and they look like this in the fiction, and we get somewhere. And and wishes is like, yeah, let's continue on that road, right? I think that can make things looks really cool. Another wish for next time is let's see where this takes us. I'm really open for actually seeing where this takes us in any direction. And I wish for that. Like, I don't need a happy ending next time for the way the score goes. I'm completely fine with seeing where the dice and our fiction takes us.
Yeah, it could even be best for you guys to like basically be left for dead after this, right? If you fail, like, fail is almost better, because then they're like, oh, they're all dead anyway.
Yeah,
as opposed to like, we succeeded and we have
we all trauma out, and all our trauma or stress out in our narration is that we land in that upwind complex.
yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I was delighted by everybody grokking the system more too. I thought, like, when people chime in and be like, I want to do setup actions, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, and yeah, I'm very scared for you guys. We're definitely, this is on a precipice that we haven't explored before. You guys have been pretty good at taking on higher tier things, just because I think Matthias is aware of the mechanics with it. So he's always like, we'll get some gear to even it out and stuff. But this is pretty beyond preparations, unless you had a ton of money to continue to flashback to acquire stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Yeji's landing in a room with 2 guards that Gabratia's just like, I'm out, right?
That setup went a totally separate way. It wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
There probably wouldn't even have been guards if I didn't say anything.
It's pretty funny. Well, they definitely would have been going there one way or the other, right? They're like, oh shit, the side of the building exploded.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You just said that they were there right now, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, how about you, Darren? Wishes and...
I think the star goes to Yeah, I mean, just the same thing. This session went like super smoothly because it seems like we're all pretty comfortable with the system, or at least with all of us in the system. So it was just cool being able to see people pulling other people into scenes, and then like you were saying, like with the setups, and then just like being able to flow through all that really easily. It was super enjoyable with that, extra enjoyable. And I think my wish is just for you, Fraser, don't be afraid to kill me. I'm not too precious with my characters, so I'm fine with things like if I put myself in that fictionally, go ahead and do what you think is appropriate.
It wasn't the right time either, though, right?
Sure, yeah. I would prefer not to die at the beginning of a score, I guess. But
well, it's just you just get taken out of the current obstacle. You'd still be in the score. But,
okay.
But yeah, it just like story-wise, it didn't make sense either, right?
Sure.
Okay, see you, Matthias.
Bye, Matthias.
Oh yeah, I thought of another wish though, is don't be afraid to, like, downtime is truly your time. Just like you can see Matthias knows that, and his scenes are all like very like narrated just himself, right? Like you can tell he has something in mind for his scenes, and to like use that time to have like narrative authority to depict something. So just everybody keep that in mind. It would be also really good opportunities to hit on new things of culture and background and stuff, right? Because you have the narrative control. Mike, do you have wishes and hopes and dreams and the thing?
Yeah. So, I mean, the star, I think, is almost like to the system. Like it was, I think like we've been playing it like very like tactically and conservatively because of that. But like it's kind of cool. I think that's what I was noticing the past couple of weeks is like Matthias was pushing some of that stuff, is like, oh, it's kind of cool when you introduce all of these complexities. And like, as people are trying to hit traumas, that's when it was sort of like clicking for me. It was like, oh, like if I really start like pushing these things and taking the risks, that's when the complexities start like being fun. So yeah, it was kind of like cool to actually be testing that and doing something completely ludicrous. So yeah, that's been fun. Wishes, yeah, like I mean, I think I'm still like catching up to some of like the mechanical stuff and like how like when are the right times to like push certain things and that kind of thing. But yeah, like I think like I'm just hoping that I get a better like hang of some of like how those complexities can work in fun ways. The one thing is like I had an idea on the disease that Yeji has, and I want to find a way to like express that, but I also don't necessarily want that to just like jump out of nowhere. So I don't know, like the whole time I was trying to figure out like is this the place to like make this like come into play, or is it the right time and that kind of thing. So I think I need to figure that out. I don't know if maybe can I like pitch it and like see what you guys like think of it, so like it's sort of out there. So the thing I was thinking is like going back to I think the Tea Masters and how they were collecting water. So I was thinking that like what actually happened in creating this disease is there was maybe it was a manufactured act of God, whatever, but like some nanites that were made by Nourish got malformed and essentially became a cancer. So the nanites are just like reproducing and they're not controllable in any way and that kind of thing. And so what had happened is that like got distributed in that rainwater. So a bunch of people who like drank from one of these systems that was like capturing water all got these like malformed nanites and have this like cancer that's just like reproducing. And that's what the orange stuff is just like this big bulk of like this like malformed like nanite shit. So I think that like also ties into maybe why Yeji wants Nourish taken out. And also I think like also would speak to like her distrust of making stuff like that, because like that's the thing that's killing her. So that's what I was thinking, and I don't know, like I'm thinking maybe like she hunts down some executives here and like makes them drink some of her bile. Something crazy like that is how it plays out. But yeah, I was trying to find ways to like have it fit in the narrative. It just didn't feel like it was like going to fit in, yeah, smoothly. So I don't know. But then it was also like, oh, I've got this great idea and I just like can't find a way to get it in. So that was the one thing that I was kind of like struggling with, and I hope that I can kind of like figure out how to slide that in. But if you guys know, maybe that helps as well.
Yeah, we can look for opportunities to get it in there. I think now that you're in the building and stuff, though, you'll be able to have some more leeway with that. It's good that you took cutting edge, because you could definitely mess them up with that. The whole point of the move is to be able to mess people up through the armor and shit. What?
I was gonna say maybe that's the information we're trying to gather to publish, like the classified research notes or things like that of like experiments that they did.
Yeah, there you go. That would be good, because then they can't say they can't really deny it, because Yeji's the living proof of it too, right? You can just be like, along with the data, you could put your like DNA profile on it or something like that, and then they can't really be like, whoa. Like, well, I don't know. This is obviously fake news. So, yeah. Yoshi?
I had a lot of fun. The session felt like it went by super quick, which I guess is good. It indicates that we're having fun, but it just felt like that. In terms of wishes, I've got all these fine weapons, like a fine sun jet on my list that I want to use. So like I have a feeling that's going to come out next time. So yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, well, I think everybody's going to be using some weapons next time. That's for sure. Like, there is a possibility of not, but
Oh yeah. But so like again, the bold on the sheet means that it's going to add extra heat, right?
yes, after
Cool.
the fact, yeah.
After the fact. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I've got a fine sunjet that's bold. It's going to cause some extra heat. I've also got airburst ammo, so like that might cause some extra heat too.
Oh man, airburst ammo is definitely good fictional positioning for fucking up tier 5 bad guys.
Yep.
So sweet. All right, I'm down with that. I'm gonna stop the recording.